Welcome to Ask Will, where today we try to answer why are oil prices falling? So please like and subscribe for future content. And today we have a zinger, folks. Oil prices have reached as low as negative $40 per barrel for WTI crude. So some of you will ask, why is there negative on WTI crude and why is Brent crude still positive? This comes down to one simple answer: storage. So let's get on to our story a little bit here today. Um, Oil has reached as low as $40 negative a barrel for WTI crude today. And this is partly due to lack of demand. So, due to the recent coronavirus, we've had a lack of transportation, no flights, no cars, lack of plastics, etc., getting built. Um just really a lack of demand entirely in the market, not just in the US, but across the world. Um, in the meantime, Saudi Arabia and Russia have had an ill timed price war, which has turned into a bloodbath for oil prices. Um, so, Saudi Arabia has finally gotten to the point now where they are literally putting oil on ships and pushing those ships out to sea and saying, sit there on the sea and wait until we tell you where to go, essentially. They're running out of course, on space, on land storage, dumping things into the sea. Um, there's tons of oil out there. There's going to be tons of oil out there, and the demand's going to be low. And right now, essentially, it's a price war amongst the U.S., Saudi Arabia, and Russia. Um, Ultimately, this comes out to all sorts of interesting things for everyone else, right? If you look at some of Russia's news sources, this is RT.com. The rhetoric that goes on in the articles you'll read over there basically says that the thrashing around the U.S. government, oil regulators, and even some shale companies reveals their lack of leverage. They're throwing a lot at the wall and trying to see what sticks. And then they try to quote a Bloomberg article that the long arc of American dream of energy independence recently soared Icarus-like towards energy dominance has finally crashed. Again, it's getting down to the point that uh, they've really got a chunk of their market. I think it's to check. It's about 65% of their economy is due to oil. Um, it's a lot. So these prices being low actually hurts Russia as well as Saudi Arabia. The last time I checked into it, Saudi Arabia could be profitable at somewhere around $7 to $10 a barrel of oil, but prices are getting lower and lower and lower as demand gets lower and lower, right? Um, so, what exactly is going on? West Texas Intermediate crude has fallen more than 100% to sell at negative 37. So, what it says here is negative 40 earlier, right? And this is the articles aren't quick enough to keep up with what's going on. Um, Brent crude, of course, international benchmark is again still about $25 a barrel. So, again, what are the differences here, right? So, when you look at crude oil futures and speculation, um, investors, when they're looking for oil and they purchase oil in the market, do so with the intent of what the oil's price will be in the future, in gist. And based on that, their contract dates will come up, and either they have to have sold the oil at that point to someone else who will keep it, or they'll have to physically take possession of it, right? And as you can imagine, in a 500 square foot apartment in Manhattan, you can't take possession of 1,000 barrels of oil, right? So where does that oil end up? And the answer for WTI actually ends up being in, I believe it's Cushing, Oklahoma. And what's funny about that is, again, like anything else, oil is cheap, people are producing, no one's buying, and we're literally running out of locations to put that oil. Um, this will be a great thing when the economy comes roaring back, which it eventually will. So you got to keep a positive attitude about these things. Oil will be very expensive. Cars, planes, etc. will be able to go everywhere. Plastics will be cheap. It's going to have a lot more impacts and a lot more of the economy than you're going to see in the stock market right now. The stock market is not reflecting these low prices just yet, and that's due to a lot of different things. Um, so it's important to understand that the news around this is not over, right? Going back to Russia Today, they've mentioned, and they're obviously very aware that the Texas Railroad Commission, which, if you're familiar with that, uh, actually controls how much oil is produced in the state of Texas, right? And so they were unable to come to a decision last Tuesday, and so they're set again to meet on the 21st. But what Russia's essentially hoping on is that the United States is going to get together and say, we're going to cut our production. And so right now it's a who's going to cut production first and why are they going to cut it? Um, Whoever cuts production first ends up losing the leverage. And that's where we are today. So I hope this has helped. I'm going to have future videos coming out regarding this. So if you like the video, like it, comment, and more importantly, subscribe. Have a great day.